guys, it's Rafael here, and today we're gonna do What If Female Deku was a reincarnation of Elizabeth Midford? Or just Elizabeth, to be honest. So let's just go. The last we left off was the Heroes vs. Students exam, and it was quite interesting, to be honest. And that's basically it. See, the people who passed, everyone passed except for Bakugo because he's an egoistic. He has a big ego that can't really get to his head. So that's basically it. Now let's go to the forest training camp arc. So when they're doing their forest training camp, everything happens in canon. They meet the Wow Wow Pussycats, and when they're gone, this is what they did. Those would just create a big car out of nowhere, and CL just put some horses there, and they just rode. So yeah, they legit went there faster than an hour later. Let's say 10 minutes later, because these horses and cars were fast. When they reached there, they began hanging out, and Elizabeth and CL were pretty much hanging out, and everyone too. And after an hour or 30 to 60 minutes later, the teachers arrived. Aizawa slapped his face, saying, "Oh crud, I forgot to tell them that they're not allowed to help the others. Well, I'm screwed." I feel like, wait, what? How did they get here so fast? As they would point at, Elizabeth and CL, and yeah. And then they would go to, and then they would do their training, and that's basically it. Elizabeth and CL already made food, which is really, really good. So yeah. Everything happens in canon, and when the kidnapping starts, instead of Bakugo getting kidnapped, it was actually CL and Izumi. Once they got kidnapped, oh crud, don't get me started. Shigaraki told them to join the League of Villains, or else they gon' be dead. But actually, Elsa thought this true and created tons of trackers and put them on the hidden trackers, so people won't know, the villains won't notice if someone gets kidnapped. For example, Bakugo gets kidnapped. He has a little thing in his pocket, okay? Which was a little button, a metal button, his button. Okay, so Sia has a button which can track him, and yeah. So Shigaraki would try to convince CL and Elizabeth to, to join the League of Villains, but Elizabeth came up with a deal. She would say, "Okay, I got a deal for you. Let's play a little game. It's a pretty old tradition. It's a game we all can play. If I lose, we will join the League of Villains. But if I win, you have to let us go." Shigaraki was hesitant of this, and Shigaraki was a little bit, sketchy about this, but he was too arrogant. He, got there anyway. Okay, so Elizabeth and CL would get out, and they wouldn't tell Elizabeth because Shigaraki thought that maybe it wasn't there, and she would say, "Okay, get me and she would ask Kogiri to hand her a shot of whiskey, and she would drink it, and she would create a knife, and she would do the knife song, And she was doing the whole knife song. There is an old tradition, a game we all can play. You start by getting liquored up and sharpening your blade. Yeah, like that. And And then when it came to the chop, I'm picking up the speed, and if I hit my fingers, then my hand will start to bleed. The villains were hoping that she would cut off one of her fingers, because if her finger gets out and she loses, she has to join the League of Villains. But if she doesn't, she'll have to join the League of she will have to join the League of Villains. But it came to the case that Elizabeth won. And Karaki would try to attack her, but she and Sia would just boom bang shabam. They teleport and say, "What's up, guys? We are back. We escaped from the League of Villains. So what did we miss?" As Elizabeth would say. As they were in a meeting in the Pro Heroes, and they're like, "So how do you escape?" As they would say, "Oh, I had a bet with the villains, and then they cheat, and they had a little bet with the villains, and we had a little game. So if I win, we'll be set free. But if I lose, Xiao and I will join the League of Villains. But I cheated a little bit. And they tried to kill me and Xiao when I won, but thankfully, they forgot about the quick restricting handcuffs that they unlocked on me, so me and Xiao just teleported out of the way, and boom bang shabam, we're here." As I would say, that's really good. That's a really good plan, but we have to look through their memories to see if you guys are telling the truth, okay? As Lily would say, "Okay, fine." As they would look through their memories, and once they saw the knife game that Elizabeth said, Alex was chuckling a little bit, so was President Mike and Midnight. As Elizabeth would say, "Haven't you know how dangerous that was?" As they would look closer in the video, and they would see that Elizabeth enchanted it last second, and they'll say, "Oh, okay, you go." As they'll just be let off because they hadn't really had made a deal with the villains. It was some kind of bet. As they were about to walk out the door, Elizabeth would say, "Oh yeah, I forgot something, Principal Nezu. I put Tracker in the League of Villains hideout, so bam, she tosses him the tracker, and Nezu would thank them, and they would go. But before they go, Nezu would ask if they wanted to join the raid for the League of Villains. They would accept, and they will do. The raid conquest begins. So everything would happen in canon, but CL's job was to make a ton of army, and it was basically a whole entire war zone. But it was basically a continent's army versus a small town. That's basically it. Oof. And when the All Might and All for One fight began, oh snap. All Might just demolishes All for One because he is fully healed, and he's been training a lot, and he has been made him stronger, and thanks to the army that CL actually put in there, All for One actually lost and died, and and when he was about to pass on his quirk, to Shigaraki, it accidentally passed on to Elizabeth. So CL has one for all, and Elizabeth had All for One. As Elizabeth would scream out in pain, as everyone would say, "Oh crud! I missed it." Whoop. As Elizabeth and CL would be worried for her, and all of us would be in jail, and Elsa would go to the hospital, and they would see that she had a new quirk in there, which was All for One. Alma was sad and happy about it at the same time. He didn't know what to feel because it has one all for one, and Elsa has all for one, and if she gets past it, and she's a good kid, and Tia got one for all. So their cousins decided to visit Elizabeth and CL, and they would visit Elizabeth and CL and to see how they're doing. Elizabeth got into a coma for a week because of the pain. So yeah. After a week, she woke up, and first thing she sees was CL running to her, hugging her. As CL would say, "Don't scare me like that ever again." As Elizabeth would say, I won't, I promise." As Elizabeth would return the hug, and that's basically it. A month later that incident, it was time for them to meet the big tree. Mirio Togana, Nejiri Hado, and Tamaki Amajiki. The introductions still came in canon, and when it was time for them to be versing the big tree, CL Elizabeth wrecked them, and if you're wondering how they could see Mirio, Elizabeth just made a pin, gave a ring to CL, and if you don't know, the ring is attached to basically Ultra Instinct and seeing where Mirio is. Okay, so she'll basically have the same ring, and they'll basically wreck Mirio without even laying a hit. So Elizabeth and CL were the ones who were going to with Mirio, and Naya would look down on them, and he would say that they look pathetic, and he challenges CL Elizabeth. Elizabeth has been researching on heroes lately, and she figured out that Naya has a foresight quirk, so she, canceled out his quirk, and Elizabeth and CL just did that. And that's basically it. The meeting with Aria would come in common, but it was actually CL, Elizabeth, and Mirio. So the whole meeting would end up the same, and the brave overhaul would begin, except it's the whole army again thanks to CL. And the thing that Mulan did, the thing that Elizabeth did to, to the Yakuza members, she just beats their butts, and not killing them, of course, so they'll do that. They'd save Eri, and everything would come in common, and the festival too. When Elizabeth and CL were walking down, they saw Gentle Criminal and took him down. It was time for a month later, it was for the Hero's Eyes exam. They'll basically do their Hero License exam, and everything would basically be a whole entire battle scene, and Elizabeth would heal with CL and Elizabeth getting the top scores. So that's basically it now, because I want to finish this series fast and quick. So that's basically it now, guys. See you later. Make sure to like and subscribe. This is my friend Ali signing out, and I don't know what that you guys would like. And bye. This is Ali signing off. Boop.